Welcome to Purposely Driven. My name is Brittany Hernandez, and I am so happy that you are here. I help women effectively grow their businesses and brands and revenue in a life-changing impact. See, I want you to dream without limits, grow without restraints, radiate and inspire your purpose and passion because so many people need your voice in your business. And I get what it's like to feel like you're spinning your wheels, you're stuck, you're not seeing your business scale and grow. This is where I lay the foundation of an entrepreneurial mindset that helps you radically transform your life by turning your passion into profit. So I am so excited that you are here, and I cannot wait for you to just experience this space. So excited for you to transform your business and your mind and inspire purpose-driven results. Okay, I'm very nervous about this live. I have some things I've been wanting to talk about. I don't know why it always does this, but it always puts me on shopping. I'm not shopping, but I have some things I wanted to talk about. Some things I wanted to speak on, some mindset things that I, had to fail forward through. And it's going to be a really vulnerable Zoom or live. I'm recording my podcast at the same time. I have all the things going on. Before I get started, I just need to take my little chill. Okay. That dog is going to blow everywhere. Okay, so we're going to talk about some things because I think it's really important for people to see vulnerability as a business owner and what that looks like and how that looks like, because so many people see highlight reels all the time. And one thing I can say is I've probably had the hardest year I've ever had since 2016, 15, when I went through my divorce. And it had nothing to do with necessarily business or anything of that nature. It had to do with growth and self-awareness and who I am and discovering who I am. So I'm going to bring a lot of awareness to this and a lot of vulnerability to this. So if you're on and listening, I appreciate it. And drop a comment wherever you're tuning in from. But I think it's really easy to post and show up on social media and do all these things on social media when it's something you're really good at. But I want to bring behind the scenes awareness of how that really can affect you when you're not showing up like yourself and in your power places. And so one thing I have struggled with is allowing, because I'm a very red leader. I'm Italian. I say things how it is. It's how I've grown up. If you know my family, you know how my family is. We're just very to the point. We don't sugarcoat things. I'm the type of person that I rather have someone be brutally honest with me than to sugarcoat things or fluff things or not say what's on their mind. That's just how I am. I learn best from people that aren't afraid to say the things that I need to say, and it helps our friendship and communication and our leadership, all the business things develop. But not only that, as a person, those are the type of people that my friendships grow the most with, is people that aren't afraid to be themselves with me and not intimidated. And if you're intimidated by me, it's not that you're intimidated by me, you're intimidated because you're not stepping into who you're called to be. And so I really want to bring a lot of awareness to these things. And if I'm rambling or not making sense, I hope that it makes sense for whoever is needing to hear this message, because so long. So backtrack. Back in June of 2020, was it 20? No, 21. I had a situation with my in-laws that ended up being very much blown way out of what I thought was happening. I had some boundaries from my addiction that I had to put up. I had some circumstances that were being put into our home that didn't align with integrity for me and my husband, and it caused a lot of backlash, slander, being talked about in all different shapes and forms. And it really started making me cripple myself in who God has called me to be. I started second guessing myself. I started allowing what people were saying about me to affect me. I started kind of operating and showing up like that over the last year, honestly. And it's not that I don't know who I am. It's just that I watered myself down so much to fit what people needed from me instead of being who I needed for me. And so I want to bring awareness to these things because I think so many people in business, they don't understand what it is to truly build a business from integrity and from truly being themselves. They just follow the bandwagon. They're like sheep being herded around and not stepping into your power place. And so your power place is going to be the place where you're not afraid to burn bridges. You're not afraid to be you. You're not apologizing. You're not watering yourself down. You're being the person that you've been designed to be. And I've always been that person that I am not afraid to say the things that are going to help you grow. I am not afraid to say the things that I had to fail forward in myself that helped me develop myself. And so long I had watered that down and kind of just like kept to myself and tiptoed around those things. And, you know, it caused me to start dimming my light and then second guessing who I am and second guessing what I'm capable of. And, you know, this year has been something that I won't ever like say that it's not worth it. I'm that type of person. I was just telling Nick and one of my really good friends this today. Like, I'm the type of person that has to learn from what I go through. That's just how I am. I'm not the type of person that can, like, just talk about it and read about it. I'm usually the type of person that has to, like, fail forward and go through it. And then I'm like, what the frick was I doing this whole time? Because then it affects me in the long run. But that's where my beautiful breaking happens. And something I've been teaching my team is when you are going through breaking, you're going to have breakthrough. And I don't know if you're a lot like me, you know, raise your hand if you're number one, if you're the type of person that has to kind of go through it and experience it to be able to get different from it. Because I know I am. You know, running a multiple 7-figure business is not for the light of heart. People don't understand what leadership really looks like. And a lot of times leadership can be very toxic. It can be very self-absorbed, very prideful, very much where you're teaching people the wrong way and it causes this cycle in life that isn't really giving them the tools they need to be themselves. They're being like little micro versions of whoever is that leader. And I don't want that. And one thing that has always been a power place for me is that I've always been like this bold ass Brittany that never apologizes for who I am, never wavers in who I am, that has been through some hard ass shit, probably what a lifetime of people experience condensed into 10 years. And the thing about it is you have to decide what you want your life to look like. And you have to decide that you're worth fighting for. And you have to decide what you're going to allow in your environment, in your conversations, in your peripheral visions. And the one thing I can tell you right now is when you are being distracted by everything else, you are shining in your full potential. You're allowing things to waver you and who God's called you to be. See, I'm a cussing Christian, and I don't do the religion thing. I do the relationship thing. And one thing I had to get back into is God loves me for who I am, not for who the world needs me to be. And the more I am myself, the more that light shines. And the more that I am able to shine, the more I'm able to serve. And so one thing I can tell you right now is when you are called for greatness, you have to start getting uncomfortable with being uncomfortable. You're never going to be understood. You're going to always be judged. You're going to always be talked about. You're always going to have someone blaming, shaming, or justifying. And I have to get into that security of understanding that that is how it is. I am always going to have circumstances of people, I call them the cheap seats, people that are in the cheap seats that are going to always judge, that are always going to be in the exact same spot over and over and over, that want to be like me, want to lead like me, want to show up like me, but are never truly being them. So then they either copy, slander, or try to like be something that they're not. One thing I can tell you is when you are really truly rooted, and I'm not talking about just in business, I'm talking about in growth, because I can tell you right now, I have not been rooted in myself, but I was rooted in growth this past year. And I had to do a lot of self-awareness, a lot of areas of what do I want to develop? How do I want to develop? What do I need to show up for? How do I need to show up for? What does that character look like? What does that next level look like? What's that work ethic look like? And the more that I got real with these areas, the more it got harder, honestly. And I think that's the thing about it is so often we're expecting that these areas that we're going through to change our whole life. but then we're still having the same response, the same thought patterns, the same actions that are giving us the exact same result. And I had to step back into me. I had to, and I've done this over the last 60 days. I've been telling my girls that, like, I have finally been in this place where I am so thankful for failing forward this past year, because there's been so many times that I've, like, questioned who I am, questioned how I lead, questioned how I serve, because I'm allowing people that have not even experienced half of what I've experienced or gone through half of what I've gone through to waver who I am. And those things that you allow are what you're going to keep attracting. And I refuse to be around people that are in lack, refuse to be around people that are constantly allowing limitations and gossip and slander and being mean girls and all this toxic shit. Like, I am not meant for toxic. I will call it out as it is. And I am meant for greatness. And the more I stepped into that greatness, the more that I stopped apologizing for that greatness, the more I put boundaries up for that greatness, the more I kept stepping into Red Brittany, because that is my personality. I am a red leader. I am me. And the more I stopped being me, the more I lost myself. The more I tried to put myself in rooms, situations, circumstances, environments to fit in or to be around, to be liked, the more I lost myself. And I cannot explain how much this has been the hardest thing, because as someone, I'm an empath, but as someone that wants the best for everybody, as someone that wants to be able to help everyone experience what their full potential can be when they stop wavering, the more I lost myself. I can't make people want change. I can't make people put boundaries up. I can't make people dig deep. I can't make people show up. I can't make people do the work, the work ethic, the mindset, the growth, the awareness, the stewardship. You know, how you do anything is how you do everything. And I preach that so much this year. And it's so funny how God works. I had to embody. And it's crazy because no season's a wasted season, but if you are choosing to constantly play small, stay small, you're not going to be wanting to be around me. I'm going to irritate your spirit. I'm going to irritate who you are, because I'm the type of person that raises the people up around me that are hungry to raise up. The people that aren't are going to judge me. They're going to ridicule me. They're going to point their finger at me. They're going to gossip. And it's proof in the pudding, because all those people that do that are in the exact same spot they've been in. And at the end of the day, the people that are committed to their growth, it has nothing to do with me. It's just that I'm myself. And the more that I've tapped into being myself, the more that they've had the permission to be able to be themselves as well. And that's where greatness happens. You got to realize leadership is not how you lead a team. It's not about your numbers. It's not about your rank. That will all speak for itself in the long term, in the longevity of what you're doing, the more that you are being you. And so many of us, we're looking for this secret sauce or this like secret tip. And really what it comes down to is getting your fucking ass to work. You can't expect your life to change if you're not showing up for it. And I'm a cussing Christian, and so often I was like, I believe in God, and I believe that God loves me for who I am. And just because I cuss a little bit or I do things a little differently sometimes, that does not mean he loves me any less. And so often I was trying to be like my best friend or my friends on my team or this, and that. And like, that is not me. And the more I stepped trying to be that, the more I allowed myself to have permission to be myself. And for the last few years, I was doing so good at that. But then this past year, because of family talking about me, because of people in leadership that aren't even here or didn't go anywhere in life or do anything in their business, the more I allowed people to rob me of my identity because I gave them permission to, the more I started to see the compound effect of what happens when you're not being you. And if you want to know the secret sauce to your business, it is being freaking you. The more I started doing the work behind the scenes, getting quieter, and here's the thing, one of my friends called me out on this because this is something I do as well. When I'm self-sabotaging, and I know I'm self-sabotaging, I start to put walls up around people because they're making excuses, and then it pisses me off when all these people are living in their excuses and living in their patterns and wanting change but not really doing anything to make changes. I let it frustrate me, and I had to start realizing that I have no control over that. I have control over me. And I was getting frustrated because I was doing the same thing and then expecting others to get on board and change. And it doesn't work like that. And so when I started to take my power back, and I can really say I started doing it around October, and I started to take my power back, I started to see a massive change within my peace, my boundaries, my awareness. And you don't need to apologize to anyone for being you. And the most successful people I know in life don't waver. They're not afraid to burn bridges. They're not afraid to be misunderstood. They're not afraid to not be liked. They're not afraid to not be in every situation and conversation that doesn't serve them. And I had attracted so many people that were in lack because I was in lack. And it's crazy to me looking back and looking outside and looking in and seeing myself kind of go through these things, fail forward in these things. And I'm like, what the frick was I doing? Because so often we think that we're changing and we're doing the work and we're doing all the things. But the one thing that we're not doing is truly being us. We're putting ourselves in situations, environments that don't serve us. We're having conversations that will never get us anywhere. We're building businesses that aren't truly aligned with who we want to build, how we want to build business, or how we are. And the one thing I can say is the people I mentor and look up to the most, they've always been talked about. They've always been misunderstood. They've always been judged and ridiculed. And their success speaks for themselves. And it's not about like the money, it's about the peace. And I think this is the one thing, that I had to start getting real with is like my peace and my joy and my confidence in who I am has more weight than anyone else's opinion. And the more that you allow someone else's opinion of you to rob you of your joy, the more you're going to be mentally depressed, anxiety filled, overthinking, overwhelmed, playing it small, and I fucking refuse. I don't know about you, but I am so here for breaking glass ceilings. I am on a level of like, let's fucking go. And I'm not even gonna apologize for it. Let's fucking go. Because this world needs more generational curse breakers. They need more, let's light freaking forest fires. Let's do damn thing. Let's make massive income. Let's make massive impact. And let's not apologize for it. But we have to stop running. And I'm speaking to myself, but let's stop running from the hard. If you're constantly running from the hard and you have to blame, shame, justify, you're probably playing fucking small. And I'm living proof that getting you in, like, thank God I built my business the way that I have. But this past year, what the frick? It was cute, but it wasn't me. And so one of those things I had to learn is stop apologizing for yourself. Stop. And I'm working on it still because I say sorry. Stop apologizing for yourself. The block button and the unfollow button is there for a freaking reason, and you don't owe anyone an explanation. Anyone, okay? Second thing is get real with your circle. Who do you see yourself around? What are you around? What are you watering? What are you chilling in? So many of us don't realize, like, we can't control fucking life. We can't ever make life stop. We can't ever make life go away. But what we can do is choose how we show up in that. This past year, I showed up, but I showed up as a watered down version of myself. And I can tell you right now, when you allow that, proof's in the pudding. It will give you the compound effect of everything you don't want. But there can be so much breakthrough. Jenna, I love you. There can be so much breakthrough when you take that power place back and you say, because here's the thing. I am such a little petty Betty sometimes, and I'm very confrontational. I am I'm Italian. Like, I don't mind pissing people off and saying what I need to say. But I'm one of those people that when people are in the wrong, I like to help them see that they can just kind of change a little bit and they'll get in the right. And here's the thing. I'm really, really committed to pissing a lot of people off this year. I want the people that don't like me, that judge me, that gossip about me, that don't go anywhere but themselves. I want them to have a freaking show. I want them to see what happens when you light the wrong fire in me. I want them to see, and this sounds so sad to say these things. I'm putting this on my podcast, but whatever. it's not about like proving to anything or anyone. It's about proving to myself. And I know what I'm capable of when I don't allow the noise in here, the noise out there, and I get to work and I show up as that leader that God's created me to be. And it helps other people have that permission to be who they need to be. And I needed to step back into this. But I also needed to go through this freaking year of freaking shit show, a shit show of a year, to get my power place back. And I want you to know that if you're in a season that you had to get your shit together, it's okay. Please don't be hard on yourself, because I'm telling myself the same thing. It is okay. But when I have people outside looking in and they're like, man, I could tell. That pisses me off. I don't know about you, but that pisses me off. I don't like people seeing that I can be weak. I like people knowing that you can be weak, but be strong. And when people can tell that you're in a spunk, you're in a season, you're not showing up in your full potential, you're playing it comfortable, that doesn't make me happy. Like, that makes me even more motivated to be like, let's freaking go. Because this is the thing that I know. Passion is not going to be there consistently. Passion is something that you have to tap into, and it's a daily choice. And it's a daily choice of getting accountable, getting real with yourself, getting deep in, okay, enough is enough. Like, enough is a freaking enough. I talk with my hands if you can't tell. And that's where I got. And it took me failing in a lot of things this past year. It took me going through a lot of things this past year. It took me people pleasing this past year. It took me not maintaining boundaries this past year. It took me wanting to like fit in with certain things this past year. And I can tell you right now, it will never get you anywhere except for a revolving door of the same circle of what you do not want to be happening. And so how do you take your power back, you ask? Like, how do you get back up? How do you stand back up? How do you make a difference in your life? How do you start changing the trajectory of your choices? You freaking decide. You stand the F up, you go look yourself in the mirror, and you have a freaking hard-ass talk with yourself and say, you versus you. You are the problem. You're the reason life isn't changing. You're the reason things aren't moving differently. You're the reason that your business isn't growing or succeeding. You. And if you don't like that, then you're not cut out for it, because entrepreneurship is not for the weak of heart. It's for the people that are truly committed to making a life change in their life. But the thing about it is, if we're constantly making it about ourselves, we're going to constantly be lost. So here's the thing. I speak to the people, the person that's a freaking go-getter, that deep down, you don't need to have this life that looks put together, but deep down you have this tug in your heart that you know you're meant for more, that you know that you're not meant to be playing a small life or having a small life, and you know that you're meant for massive amount of money, abundance constantly overflowing to you, that you deserve to have every single thing that your little heart desires, that you don't need to be misunderstood by the people that you wouldn't even trade lives with in the first place, and you don't need to fit in. Because if you're constantly trying to be like everybody else, you're constantly trying to be fitting in with everybody else, and you're constantly trying to show up like everybody else, you are never going to fully feel satisfied in who you are designed to be, because you're trying to find yourself through everyone else's lenses. And that's something that I had to get real with myself this past year. Me, miss, I'm tough. I got it put to... No, like, it's okay to fail. But if you're avoiding failure, you're avoiding success. So there were so many times this past year, and it had nothing to do with business, but everything to do with my confidence in myself, that I didn't have confidence. I did not have confidence in myself. I started being my own worst critic. I started not leading the way I lead, showing up the way I lead. So many, I could go on and on and on. And I just got to this point over the last 60 days especially, and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, who the hell do I think I am? Trying to be like everyone else, show up like everyone else, make sense like everyone else, letting people's opinions of me rob me of who God's created me to be, and trying to be understood. Like, that doesn't make any sense. I'm over here preaching about this stuff, but then also not embodying it, and it doesn't add up. And see, time will always expose you or promote you. And I'm a huge, big believer that whatever you're doing behind closed doors is always going to show. So here's the thing. If you're trying to go to all these different companies and do all these different things, and you're thinking it's going to change how you lead or how you show up or being in a different environment, bet. because you can't outrun your own work ethic. You can't outrun yourself. And when it came down to it is I was trying to be like I have some top leaders on my team. They're underneath me. They're my girls. I love them to death. But I was trying to people please them, but also help them grow and get to where they need to go, but trying to like help them see their own patterns. But they weren't like ready to move differently. They were wanting to make excuses. They were wanting to settle. They were wanting to coast. And that's cool for them. I need to love them where they're at. There's nothing wrong with that. Just like there was nothing wrong with my season that I had to go through. But it's not about them. It's about me. The more I show up for myself, the more I lead myself, the more I don't apologize for it, it's giving everyone else around me permission to do the same thing. And that's where you have to realize that your greatness with everything you're trying to change within you, the overflow in business, the overflow in your finances, the overflow in your confidence, the overflow in your environments, all that starts with you. With you. You are the key to unlocking your whole entire life. And it sounds so silly when we really go out and hear it and see it, and then we're like, good talk, Britt, but like really it's not easy to walk that talk. No shit. So when it comes down to it, I want you to practice this. Who are you allowing in your circle that is not committed to their own growth? Remove them. And it's gonna suck. There's some people that I need to remove, and I'm like very sad about it. Next thing. What type of conversations are making you feel like it's okay to settle? What type of people are making you feel like, hey, it's okay to coast. It's okay to settle. It's okay to do this. It's okay to do that. Those are people that you probably don't want to take advice from, because it's not about success. It's about you feeding your growth. Okay? Next thing is, what do you need to set goals and vision towards? Go out and make a dream board. And I'm not just saying like an easy dream board. I'm saying go print some stuff off. Get real with what debt you need to pay off. Get real with what credit cards you need to pay down. Get real with what dreams you want to start achieving. Get real with that before heading into a new year. I'm so sick of New Year's resolutions. 99% of you don't even keep to the New Year's resolutions that you set by February. So stop using that as an excuse to freaking coast. Now, if you're a go-getter, like me, I'm a high performer. I'm a go-getter. And sometimes we got to experience like the opposite side of what that looks like. How do you get up from that? You decide. Like, I can't explain to you except for it's a daily choice. Every single day I have to practice getting into that next level me. So how does that person vibe? Like, what's that energy that I'm casting out? What's that mindset that I'm believing in? What's that vision I'm creating? What's that work ethic I'm showing up for? I like to work. There's nothing wrong with that. Stop apologizing for that. There's no such thing as toxic hustle culture if you're not a hustler. If you like to hustle, then freaking hustle. If you don't, then you don't. Like, this is what it comes down to being you and showing up for you. And so many people don't want to do that. They don't know who they are inside. They don't know where they're going. They don't have any direction. So then they like to just point the finger like everyone else is the problem, because what happens is when someone's growing, it's going to irritate the person that's not choosing to grow. And when you're not choosing to grow, there's no abundance flowing. You are a magnet for whatever you put out. And see, so many of us are allowing our settling points and allowing everything else to get in our peripheral vision, wondering why things aren't changing and wondering why this isn't working out or wondering why X, Y, and Z. But it's you. You're the fucking problem. Just like I was the fucking problem. And at some point I had to decide, okay, when is enough enough? Like, when am I going to be sick and tired of my own shit and sitting down in my own slump? And when is it going to really do anything? And if it doesn't do anything for you, then why are you feeding that consistently? So many of us, we want to be told the fluff, and we want to be around the fluff. We want to be around people that make us feel like, oh, it's so magical and rainbows and like make you feel good about yourself. But if you can't feel good about yourself when you hear the hard things, that's not a them problem, that's a you problem. Someone shouldn't need you to be validating your own insecurities. Someone shouldn't need to be validating what you need to hear in order to achieve. You need to be your own worst critic, your own worst enemy. You need to be that person. And when I say own worst enemy, meaning like you need to be so self-aware of the crap that you're doing that at some point you finally say enough is enough. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, There's nothing wrong with that. I don't have any type of like education level on this Zoom. All I am is speaking from experience. I'm speaking from the breaking that I had to go in order to start having breakthroughs. I'm speaking from the person that needs to know that it's okay to be wherever you are right now, but now it's time to get up. It's okay to not like what you've been up to or what you've been doing or the results that you've been getting, and to make a change in it. But you can't outrun a work ethic. Your work ethic will follow you no matter what company, what business you start, what relationship you're in. You can't outrun you. And so if you're thinking by changing the environment, it's going to change you. No, it's going to probably change you for about 6 months, maybe 90 to 60 days, not like 90 days to 6 months. But a year from now, you're going to be in the same exact spot you left as, because you're not changing you. And that's where the secret sauce starts, is it comes down to, where do you want to be? And your circle as well, it's going to really show who you truly are inside when no one is looking. So I hope someone got something out of this. I recorded this as well. It will be on my podcast.
So excited to be able to just give you a jam-packed course, to give you the blueprint of being an entrepreneur and being a faith-driven woman that just wants more for her life. So the thing is, success is a choice, and it comes down to you. And what this course is designed for is that entrepreneur, that course creator, that speaker, that network marketer, that person that just is looking to be able to take themselves to the next level. We're going to get clear on your business and help you design a vision that's aligned to your purpose and passion, who God's called you to be. You're going to get clear on your calling and helping yourself build the strategies to build an impact. You're going to take your vision, your income, and your impact and those limiting beliefs around that, and we're going to reprogram that. You're going to be a magnet for what you attract, and the mindset practices and the actions that I give you during this course are going to transform your business. I'm so excited to have you over in the Impact Amplifier. Make sure you go into the show notes if you want to go in and join the Impact Amplifier. It is on pre-launch pricing. Thank you so much for hopping on. I'm so excited that you're here. I hope that you subscribe and leave a review. It means the world to me. I am going to be reading these weekly and featuring one of my lucky fans. So thank you for hopping on the Purposely Driven podcast. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day and go out and inspire purpose-driven results.